All right, so at the time, remember, at the time, we called it quite possibly the worst trade in NBA history. So you know what? It was actually pretty nice. Pretty nice to see the dude get some measure of revenge, some measure of payback last night. Now, I know that he's not exactly the most popular public figure. I know that some people do not appreciate what he's accomplished in his career, the good things he's done, and he has. But I'll tell you what, I got to give the man some credit. I just have to.
Credit.
Even if nobody will, I have to. Rudy Gobert! Dude deserves a lot of credit for that performance last night. Gotcha, didn't I? Didn't see that little head fake. No, I was not talking about Nico Harrison. Although last night actually was a pretty good night for Nico. But while it was a pretty good night for Nico, it was a career night for a guy 12 years in Rudy. Four first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. Doesn't sound so insane now, does it? Yeah, actually it does. That will always sound insane. But I got to give it to the dude. I did not see Rudy ever coming through and going 27 and 24 in a playoff elimination game. Let alone that kind of performance on the road to knock off the Luka LeBron Lakers. I mean, never mind Rudy Gobert. The utterly undersized, undermanned, undercoached Lakers made this dude look like Hakeem, Kareem, Shaq, and Bill Russell all rolled into one last night. Back to Nico for a second. I'm not saying that loss means that the Mavs won that trade. I'm not saying that loss last night means the Lakers should have made that trade. Because without that trade, the Lakers don't get anywhere near sniffing that 3 seed. They'd probably be in Cabo right now already for a week. However, they'd be back. They'd probably already be to Cabo and back. However, I will say this, in Nico's defense, it is a little bit easier to see Nico's point about hookah bong rips and why Nico rang the world's loudest the loudest fat alarm in his whole defense wins championships thing. Because I can't deny it, whereas I would make that trade again. Luka was pretty much a traffic cone last night. He wasn't even moving. Wasn't even moving enough on defense to be called a turnstile or a matador. So after the last 3 months of every new piece of info or news making that trade look worse and worse and worse, the bleeding, the hemorrhage finally stopped last night. The blood gushing from that open, gaping wound left behind by the Luka trade finally did stop gushing last night. Now, I'm not saying that means Mavs fan is now happy about that trade, because of course they're not. But I will say, it's the first time since that trade that anything happened that at least validated the thinking behind the trade. At least the thinking behind the trade. Now, I didn't come to bury Luka today. I kind of came to bury all of them today, but I didn't come to bury Luka today. But, let's be real, he's not exactly in peak shape. Hasn't been all season. Now, I don't know if we've ever seen him in peak shape. And Nico's point all along is, fine, it's going to catch up with him though. That's the whole point. Maybe not now. Maybe it's not affecting him right now. Oh, and little kept secret, Nico surrounded him with much better bigs and others to run with, so he can get away with not being in peak shape. But what he's saying is the bong rips, the beers, the pizza, ultimately they will catch up to him. Maybe not last year. Maybe in the first round this year. Maybe not. But it's just tough to pay a dude like that the super max, especially when the super max is $345 million. That reasoning all seems a little more reasonable right now than it did before that series started. But again, I'm not trying to put this failure on a dude who averaged 30 a night in this playoff series and turned the Lakers season on a dime when he showed up. Fact of the matter is, he's unguardable. Now, the fact of the matter is, he doesn't guard anybody, but he is unguardable. So he definitely deserves some of the blame, but there's a lot of blame to go in every single direction. You know, as an example, I'm not here to bury Luka, just as I'm not here to bury or pile on that 40-year-old man either. 40! Except that 40-year-old man scored a total of 5 points on 2 of 9 shooting in the fourth quarter of games 4 and 5. So in the 2 most important quarters of the season, LeCap had no extra gear. He had no other gear. He couldn't level up. He gave them 5 total points and only 2 made field goals. So they're not following him around and making goat noises for that. And they're not making goat noises. Check this stat. They're also not bang, bang at LeCap's playoff record over the past 14 games. Not the smallest sample. Don't get me wrong. Legacy intact. Arguably the GOAT. But over the last 14 games, do you know what his record is? He's only won 2 of the last 14 playoff games. It seems impossible, but the real alleged GOAT is 2-12 in his last 14 playoff games. So the Lakers getting worked in the postseason this year is a problem that actually predates Luka and Farmer JJ. Although Farmer JJ, by the way, should get plenty of blame for his role in this one. In fact, I might even say Farmer JJ deserves the most blame here, because he's the one who made the inexplicable decision to make no substitutions in the second half of Game 4. Then he made that horrible mistake even worse by taking no accountability for it whatsoever in the aftermath, and then acting like a jackass all week long after doing so. For instance, the first idiotic Farmer JJ comment this week was that he didn't notice any fatigue down the stretch of Game 4. And it was more a case of his 2 best players missing layups. That's why they lost. Not the fatigue. But they missed a couple of bunnies. That's why they lost. Hey, JJ, do you know why your 2 Hall of Famers missed those layups, genius? Because they were fatigued. And they were fatigued, but you didn't bother to get either one of them a blow, despite having a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter of a must-win game. But you didn't notice any fatigue while your team was gassing out. And also, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm not the problem here. Why don't you go ask, this is his whole vibe. Why don't you go over there and ask LeBag? Why don't you go over there and ask Hookah Bong Rips why they can't make a layup? No. This isn't on me. This is on them. Why are you asking me about what I did? I didn't do anything. Go ask them. Fatigue? What fatigue? I'll give you fatigue. I'm tired of you talking out your ass and asking me these questions. That's my fatigue. Go ask them. I didn't do anything. Yeah, right, JJ. That's the whole point. You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything except run your 2 best players under the bus after having them play the entire second half of a playoff game, a really important playoff game, when you know that one of those 2 is 40, and the only reason you have the other one on your roster is because he's fat. Yet you can't get them out of the game. In other words, Farmer JJ could not have handled that much worse than he did. Yet, despite all that, I think he may have one-upped himself during that pregame press conference or gathering yesterday. He got a question about potentially leaning on his assistants for a little help and substitution advice in Game 5. Somebody asked him, would you be willing to do that? Might you do that? Check out his oh-so-reasonable response and reaction to the most innocuous question.
If that opportunity presents
itself. Are you
again.
saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? Do you think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single timeout?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I,
There's a lot going
every
on.
single time. That's a weird assumption.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, grip much, Farmer JJ? Thin skin much, Farmer JJ? Rabbit ears much, Farmer JJ? Red-assed much? Man, chill out. Of course he's asking that because you're inexperienced and made an inexperienced decision. You know why? Because you are inexperienced and you did make an inexperienced decision. And of course you're going to get questions about it. But way to call even more attention to your inexperience and your inexperienced decision by stomping out like a big old baby.
Thank you, Coach.
I actually kind of sort of was amused and sort of liked his whole red-assed act that he pulled in game 2 when he cussed everybody out, when he stomped onto the floor and F-bombed everybody. You know, because he picked his spot. You can pick your spot and you can act like that and get your message across. But you can't just be in constant red-ass, thin-skin mode. You can't just be spazzing out all the time. Why'd I choose that word? Because LeBron did warn us, JJ gonna spaz. JJ is gonna spaz out from time to time. The spaz said so himself.
You know, we know JJ is gonna spaz out from time to time. That's JJ, and so it's at this point for us is, you know, obviously we need to listen to the message and not the way how he's delivered it. You know, and for me, it's.
He said, we know JJ is gonna spaz out from time to time. Hey, time to time, fine. But it can't be all the time. You can't just go around spazzing out 24/7. You can't just go around spazzing out in the second half of critical playoff games and then spazzing out every time you meet with the media. The Lakers need a head coach right now, not a head spaz. Even Reggie Miller, who a lot of people think is a spaz, even Reggie Miller commented on the TNT broadcast that he had to try to calm JJ down when they had their pregame meeting because JJ was spazzing out. Even my guy, Windy, on ESPN, characterized JJ's behavior today as, quote, childish. Yo, Farmer JJ, my guy, you know your job is to not actually be a farm engagement worker, right? Your job is not to actually farm engage or engage farming. That was your old job. That was your old job as a podcaster. The Farmer JJ thing is like, it's a joke. It's kind of a moniker. It's just kind of a handle, a gloss. I don't usually have to explain my jokes, but I want to be very clear about this. Your objective as the Lakers head coach is to win games. Actually, to win championships. It's not to make people look at you and create red-assed, thin-skinned sound bites every time you hit a podium so you can farm engagement. Like, you're not a part of the farming engagement industry anymore. That was your old life. You're a part of the coaching industry now. So it's all below not good for the Lakers right now. Hey, really quickly, full stop.
Not good.
Hey, Rome, is any of this not about the T-Wolves? Yes, definitely. Don't get me wrong. Do not get any of this twisted. The better team won. The better team won. There was nothing fluky about that. The better team won, period. Don't come up in here. Don't come running up in here. Hey, Rome, why? Why? Why is it only about the Lakers? Didn't the T-Wolves have anything to do with this? Yes, quite a bit. The better team won. I'll get there. I just want to say for the Lakers, it's all below not good because the 40-year-old finally looks like a 40-year-old. They still have no big. Their rookie laser is nowhere to be found. And come to find out that the revelation that was Austin Reeves being an emerging star and a legitimate third player and third offensive option on a championship caliber roster is not that. Yeah, great regular season. Austin, way to go. But where were you when they needed it? Nowhere to be found. Bad series. And he was not the only one, but he definitely had a bad series. In other words, the Lakers have a ton of problems. Yes, they still have Luka to build around, but easier said than done. I'm not really confident necessarily that Rob Lowe, Fonzarelli Pelinka is going to be able to pull this off. You know, and as far as LeCap You know that whole thing about, hey, LeCap, so what's it going to be? Are you going to opt in? Are you going to play? Are you going to retire? As far as him being non-committal and not telling us last night about whether or not he's going to play next year, you know what? I think I'll just speak for him. I'll just go ahead and do it for him. Since he won't tell us, I will. Of course he's going to play next year. No way in hell he doesn't spend another year with the player that he himself drafted and paid, his son. So let's stop with this nonsense about how he's going to retire. And he did play well this year. Gassed out at the very end of the year because, well, he's 40 and Farmer JJ couldn't get him the rest that he needed. But you're going to tell me this guy's going to retire when Bronny is still a member of the team? Are you going to tell me this guy's going to go to another team? I love that. That's my favorite thing. He's going to opt out and play somewhere else. Oh, well, Bronny's here in LA. The hell he is. No, he'll be back. Go ahead and write that down. He will play next year. Now, if you were looking for him to own any of that beatdown that Minnesota just laid on him and his teammates and the entire organization, of course, you were barking up the wrong tree. Of course, he got baggy with it after the fact because, well, he is LeBag after all. Here is the very weird and baggy response to a question about roster construction. And again, that is the biggest question because that is a really poorly constructed roster. But he was asked, well, what about the lack of a big man? You got Rudy Gobert turning into Wilt Chamberlain out here. What about the lack of a big man, LeBron? Reaction?
No comment. I'll never say that because my guy AD said what he needed, and then he was gone the following week. So I got no comment. I put that uniform on every night. I gave everything I had, and that's all that matters.
I mean, dude, seriously? I mean, he couldn't have been happier with himself. Hey, man, no comment. And you know me, I never no comment. But hey, look, bag. This is why people bag you. Are you kidding me with that? You see, that is why people LeBag you, LeBag. Street Clothes did not get traded because he asked for another big. Street Clothes got traded because he's Street Clothes. And he's not consistently available because he's Street Clothes. And he never showed any real interest in being the guy when you do age out completely. And he was dealt not because he asked for a big man, but because Nico Harrison called Rob Lowe Pelinka and offered him Luka Doncic. Hell yes, the Lakers need a big. You do, Luka does, they all do. But hell no, they did not trade your beloved boy Street Clothes for asking for a big because he himself didn't want to be the big, even though he was really good at being the big. Come on, man. Is this LeGM pouting because he's not LeGM anymore? Or deflecting? Whatever it is, it's weird and it's baggy and it makes no sense and it's neither here nor there. So when you said no comment, that would have been lame enough and baggy enough, but you should have just stopped on no comment. Because what you chased it with made it so much worse. You know what it is, really? Again, Minnesota's better. They're just better. But come to find out, the Lakers are not who we all thought they were. We all got suckered into it, right? We all got suckered into thinking they were legit title contenders after they won 50. They played their way into the 3 seed. We saw Luka and Braun rolling. We thought that Austin Reeves was an emerging star. We thought that Farmer JJ was actually pushing all the right buttons. Fool's gold, man. And we're all fools for thinking otherwise and not knowing that Minnesota would hear all that. That Minnesota would hear it all and come in with a giant chip on their shoulder and remind the entire world of who they are and what they did last season in the playoffs. We all conveniently forgot that too. So they come in and they knock the Lakers the hell out in their own house on a night where Ant was 0 for 11 from beyond the arc. Man, this is why I love Ant. I love Ant. Only Ant could go 0 for 11, one of the worst shooting nights from beyond the arc in playoff history.
Bring your ass.
Only Ant could do that. 0 for 11. But of course, that didn't dent his confidence at all. Didn't dent his swag at all, which is why I do love the guy. Just does DGAF, all right? Of course, this guy winds up doing a victory lap around the crypt, spitting smack at Laker fan after the game on a night when he shot 0 for 11 beyond the arc. Would you look at this dude?
I'm walking. I'm minding my business, man. How y'all gonna be with me? I just sent y'all home. Tyler, how they gonna do that?
They be talking
Man, they been talking all week.
Hey, all the analysts said what they say?
Lakers in 5. And then look, when we was up 3-1, they said Lakers in 7.
Ain't they say that?
Go to hell today. Hey, Tyler, what is it? Hey, the good guy gonna die in this movie. Hey, the good guy gonna die in this movie. Hey, Morris Chestnut died in this movie.
So incredible. I mean, that is so incredible if you saw that on the stream. You know the phrase like, he's out here in the streets. No, I mean, he was actually out in the street. He was actually physically out in the street talking smack straight to Laker fan. Quote, how are y'all going to be messing with me? I just sent y'all home. Well, actually, Rudy Gobert did, but I just sent y'all home. They've been talking, these are quotes. They've been talking crap all week. Lakers in 5, Lakers in 7. The good guy died in this movie. Morris Chestnut died in this movie.
Good guy gonna die in this movie. Hey, the good guy gonna die in this movie.
And
Hey, Morris Chestnut died.
so what I'm saying is an apology for the T-Wolves is in order from pretty much all of us. And a question for the Lakers. Question being, now what, y'all? You imposters need to stop pointing fingers, own it, and fix it. Stat. You're embarrassing enough on the floor. Stop making it worse off it. Look in the damn mirror, all of you.